In this video, we're going to assemble the Pi camera module with the case that it came with. Lots of tiny little screws and nuts here. So if you're working over a carpeted surface, for example, it's a good idea to get a paper plate in order to hold these small pieces so that you don't accidentally lose a screw having it roll off your desk into the carpet. Okay, the kit came with a couple different lengths of ribbon cable. The short cable may have been attached to the Pi cam in the kit. This is a good option for connecting your Pi camera module if you want it to be and stay really close to your Raspberry Pi. So for example, if you were only going to use it for Zoom meetings, video conferencing, that sort of thing. We're going to use the much longer extension cable here that came with the kit because we're going to need to be able to move the Raspberry Pi for the stop motion animation and the time-lapse video, and this will give us more flexibility in where we can locate it. So the ends here are interchangeable, but they do have blue tape on one side, silver connectors on the opposite side, and when you're going to attach one of these ends to the camera module itself, okay, a couple of things to think about with your camera module. The lens there is very, very fragile. It scratches easily, it gets dirty, and it's very difficult to clean. So you want to try not to touch that lens or set it down in any place that will cause it to get scratched or dirty. Okay, if you flip this module to the back, you'll notice a port here where we're going to put the ribbon cable in, and there's a black plastic cap there that if you feel gently on the ends and pry up, right, that will pull out a little bit, and that allows you to insert the ribbon cable. Okay, we want to have the blue tape facing up, and we're going to go ahead and slide that end right into the port, and then once it's inserted, you can gently slide that black cap back over the top of the white port so that it's nice and flush there. And you'll know that it's connected if you give it a gentle tug. Just gentle, don't really pull on it, but a gentle tug, it should stay attached. Okay, so now that side is connected. Okay, next we're going to assemble the case and the mount around this, and we don't want to just turn this lens right against the scratchy paper plate. So I've got a microfiber cloth here that I'm going to lay down. You could fold up some tissues, just something soft that you can use to place the lens against as we assemble the case. So we're going to start by taking this piece, which is the plate number 1 in the directions, and we're going to lay that right over top of the lens. Okay, and then we're going to take the 4 screws and drop those 4 screws into the 4 holes. In the camera module, just like that. Okay, then from underneath, if you grab a hold of those 4 screws, then you can flip this over and lay it against that soft microfiber cloth or folded up tissues, just something to protect the lens. So the 4 screws are facing up now. I'm going to move this ribbon cable toward the back so that it's not in my way. And next we're going to take this plate number 2 that looks kind of like an outlet cover, and we're going to slide that over top of the 4 screws, and that's going to set right over the back of the Pi camera module. Okay. Then we're going to take the legs, and one leg is going to just lay right in that slot with the long part facing up, and then the other leg we're going to put on the opposite side. Same thing, just lay it right in that slot with the legs facing up. So we can zoom in here a little bit so you can see what that looks like. And so again, I just laid these legs in the cutout slots, and then they'll stand right there. Okay, now we're going to take plate number 3, and we're going to position that over the 4 screws and the cutout pieces for the legs, and then press that down flat. Okay, and then we're going to take these tiny little nuts and put them onto the ends of the screws, and then just with the edge of your finger you can hand tighten those. And we're going to want to do that for each of the 4 screws. So we've got 2. Now we'll do number 3 and number 4. And now those 4 nuts are hand tightened from the back. So now I can grab this tool, and I'm going to slide this onto the nuts to hold it in place, and then using the tiny Phillips head screwdriver that came with the camera module, I can go ahead then and tighten those screws. And we're going to do that for each one of these. And then the last one. And now all 4 of those have been tightened. Okay, then the last piece is this one. That's your plate number 4. And we're going to take our ribbon cable and fold that back between the legs of the mount, and then we can slide this plastic plate into the 2 cutout slots, and now the camera mount and case is constructed. So it should stand up on its own, just like that. Okay, now you want to make sure that your Raspberry Pi is completely powered off and unplugged from its power source before we attach the other end of the ribbon cable to the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to keep that lens protected by my microfiber cloth. And then I'll go ahead and bring my Raspberry Pi over. And the camera module, the other end of that ribbon cable, we're going to insert into the port for the camera module, and it's right here between the headphone jack and the second micro HDMI port. You'll see it right there. It has that black cap, just like the side with the module. It snaps in and out, so you can gently pry it up from the edges here. Okay, and we're going to take the blue side of the ribbon cable, and we want that blue edge to face the USB ports. Okay, so my blue edge is facing the USB ports, and then I'll go ahead and slide that into the port for the camera module, and then press that black piece down so that it's flush. And again, if we give it a gentle tug, okay, it should stay connected. And then we know it's attached. Okay, and now that that is connected, we're ready to go ahead and plug the power back into the Raspberry Pi. And go ahead and let your Raspberry Pi boot up, and then we'll be ready for the next video to set up